Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Tribe Podcast. I don't have a title for today's episode. This is a little bit of an improv we're doing today. So even Lorena has no idea exactly how it's going to go. I was thinking about this literally 5 minutes ago. I was washing the dishes. Oh my, sorry. I'm like still calming down because I was running to meet you here in the meeting, Lorena.
Yep.
All right.
Just let's take a deep breath in first and relax. All right.
Okay.
Go, move forward.
Yeah. I was thinking about a few things. I was like, I wonder if I was asking questions to myself, and then I was answering them. Like, wonder what Lorena's response would be. So I'm gonna ask you a question, okay? And then we'll see your answer and we'll go from there. But also I'll have my own independent answer, of course. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, when was the first time you can remember? This can be from like young all the way until now. When was the first time you realized like I'm something more than just this body? That you can remember.
Probably my first Akashic Records reading. When someone opened them for me, that's when I felt it. I was like, wow, I felt so connected to my soul. I think my energy's always been so interesting because I have so much earth in my natal chart. I always felt so stuck in the 3D. I always felt so grounded here that it was hard for me to connect or feel connected to myself spiritually. And I think that was the first kind of feeling I ever had of seeing, wow, there's something more to all this. I'm more than just this. It's not just what I'm seeing. There's something more, and I'm feeling it through the reading, and someone's translating it to me.
Yeah.
It gave me permission to start feeling something more and realizing that there's a spiritual aspect and that it's not just what we see.
I think most people feel that when they had the reading. I remember also when I had my reading going, whoa, I'm not alone. Like, it was a nicest feeling. I will never forget thinking that. Like, the moment I remember the chair I was sitting in, the room I was in, the reader that was in front of me. The moment I felt that, I thought, I'm like, holy moly, I'm not alone. Like, there's this whole team or individual beings around me, like, assisting me.
And they're supporting, and they're helping, and they're always there. Yeah. And I can call upon them. I can feel their energy and their presence.
And you leave, on a happy buzz.
On a high.
Yeah. And you leave feeling empowered, right? Like,
yes,
I have control of my life. I've got this. I can do anything that I set myself to, manifest anything, and do anything. No one can stop me. Like, right?
That's how I felt every time. And then that would fade, of course.
That's what I was going to say. And then time passes and it starts fading. And you get back into the human aspects of the 3D density. And you're like, bleh.
Your emotions, your struggles, the difficulties. Yeah, and it all just wears off.
Yeah. And then, I that was, for me, was the first time that I did feel like, wow, I'm not alone. But there was a time, I've talked about this quite a few times, I think, on the podcast, where, like, when I was 7, I had that moment where I felt trapped in my body. I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. And I remember touching my body and going, get me out, oh my God. And I was freaking out, and I felt huge. I remember just feeling so much, like, I don't know how, like 10 times bigger than my body. I remember feeling like, this is a small, what the hell is this little tiny thing I'm in? And like, this is uncomfortable, and get me out of here. I remember feeling huge. And that's the only other time that I can remember, besides the first time I got Akashic Records, where I'm like, wow, I'm much more than just this. Like, there's something else. But I was 7. Like, I don't even think I ever told Mom and Dad. I don't even think I told you. I probably didn't.
No, you never told me.
Yeah, plus everyone thought I was weird all the time.
Kinda, yeah.
I was always like the weirdo. Like, what is Lucia thinking about now? Like, what is Lucia making up now? So I think I was used to like leaving things like, no one's gonna get it. Yeah. So I was thinking about that. And those are, I think, if you ask me, I think those are crucial moments. It's almost like instead of those really brutal ahas you have where it's like you lose a loved one, you have an accident, you have a moment of complete, like an utter like change in your life that like wakes you up. Like aside from those, I think those other moments that we're talking about, those are super important because it's like, it's a good way for you to shift back and to realize like, no, wait, I'm not this like being that depends on my government making a decision, or what is my partner going to decide to do about this that I want to do and maybe they don't want to do it, or what about if my child leaves for college and how I'm going to feel. Like whatever it is that you're going through personally, like you it's like there are moments where you realize that you can also kind of control your scenarios in a sort of a way, and then you go back to those scenarios where life takes over and you start losing it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think those are like wake-up calls as well in their own way, right?
It's like they're the way I see it is kind of like they're just bringing you back to center constantly. That's why I always felt like every 6 months I'd go back for a reading. It was kind of like clockwork. I wouldn't put it in my calendar. I'd just check. I'd be like, I'm feeling like I need a reading now. It was like when I was completely disconnected from myself. It was when I was feeling really low. And it would like pick me back up every 6 months. So like twice a year, that always felt really aligned. Sometimes a little bit more. But it's like I needed that because I couldn't find that on my own.
Yeah.
And life would get too much. It would become heavy. I went through depression. I went through, years and years of panic attacks and not being able to deal with that in a way because I couldn't find a way to control it. And I'm sure some people go through much more difficult things. I'm not trying to say it's worse or better, but it was my own struggle. And it was the only way that I felt or found that I could find answers and understand myself and feel connected. Because everything would pull me from the anxiety to the panic attacks would constantly pull me back into that earth. And it wouldn't allow me to connect.
I don't really do that anymore, like readings with other people, even though I love it. Because I've gotten to a point where I get my information and I feel so much like I know what I need to do, that to me it's a little boring now getting readings because I already freaking know exactly what they're going to say to me. Like, okay. It's nice for someone else to say it, but like I know exactly what they're going to say to me already. I
think if you're in a crossroads or in a moment, that's how I feel too.
When you're lost in it.
When you are, know what you got to do, you're getting the messages. Like just now, for example, I pulled a rune and I kind of, I rely on my runes a lot to like give me the answers. And I pulled one. I'm like, I knew this one was going to come up. Like some people might do that with tarot, right? But yeah, I agree with you. It's like, you're only going to see someone not to get new information, but just to confirm what you already know.
Yeah, well, I used to need it more. Now I've just gotten to a point where I kind of know without even having to open my records and like ask. It's like I'm more in tune to like just receiving it like as hits on a daily basis.
It's intuition.
Yeah,
your intuition's guiding you. You're living an aligned life.
Yeah,
that's how it works. I feel like I've gone more down that path this last year.
Of what?
100%. Of just listening to myself and being able to stand up for what I feel is right and being able to just empower myself in my own decision making without having to rely on others to tell me, oh, you're right, oh, you're wrong, or yeah, that seems okay, or that's not right. And just being like, I don't care what you think. It's okay. This is what's right for me, and I'm going to make my own decisions.
Yeah. It's funny because I can tell the clear phases that I, as an individual, because I think we all have like a mission or purpose, like what we're good at, what ability or what gift we come to bring to the world, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't know it, there's always something. And I think for me, I can clearly tell when because it's not the same, even though you're like, your soul's like, okay, this is the contract, this is your purpose, or this is your mission, or this is what you need to bring to the earth, or you're brought down for this, right, kind of thing. And I think that's not, even though it's one thing maybe, or, a few small things, it's not always supposed to come from the same exact perspective or like line of work or hand of work. Like you work with it differently. It goes through phases where you need to do it this way now. And I've been getting really good at clearly telling what phase I'm shifting to. Okay, now I'm supposed to do it more like this. Okay, now I'm supposed to concentrate on this way. Like the example I could give you for me, about me at least, is there was this really strong era where I felt like I had to like try to throw truth at people's faces to see if they could take that, you know, they call it the red pill, right? Like see if they could take it and like try to help wake up people. And this was a little bit before, I think, COVID, or was it? I think it started a little bit before COVID. So it was like I knew that I was trying to help people align and get ready so they could see it before it all came into play. And then now I feel like I'm fading into now I'm having to accept, I'm fading into like the background where I'm like, well, now whoever at this point woke up and is seeing the truth is there, and whoever hasn't, now it's up to them. It's up to them to decide if they want to see the truth, but they've decided up until now they don't, right? So it's like that for me is now it's no longer the time to push truths in people's faces. Now it's time to find those that did take that red pill. I'm saying the red pill because of the Matrix, right? Mm-hmm. Took that red pill.
There's a new Matrix movie coming out, you know?
Is it?
Did you know that?
This year?
Yeah. I don't know I think it's December or something. I don't remember, but it's coming out very soon.
I watched Cinder and I watched
all the Matrix movies again this year.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah.
There were parts where I was like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Like, what?
I can watch old movies again and I'm like, oh yeah, and I remember what happened.
Oh, that's what I love about it.
Watching.
Yeah, I forget them too. So it's like I can watch them all over again and enjoy it. It's just like the first time.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was saying that like I can tell that what I'm personally here to do now is I'm fading back, and I have to just find those that took the red pill with me. And now my mission is more like unite those people, bring them together, and let's kind of make each other kind of like we do like the Telegram group that we have for the Patreon people. Like we're, you know, talking to each other, supporting each other. Like I feel like I'm supposed to try to help people find each other or be part of that, right?
Yeah. I had this weird thing. So today's Saturday, which is unusual for us to record on a Saturday. We've had a busy week. But yesterday I had this weird, or was it Thursday, I think, Thursday evening. I was like, wow, I'm really alone here. Like there's a few people that I can talk to, but I felt it's like everything started getting to me. There's like those days, right? That you start overthinking things and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'd been doing readings and I'm just like really tired. So I was like, wow, I need to take a step back from all this. Like I went for a walk and stuff and I was like, that's okay. Like not everybody's going to follow me, but it was just this feeling of loneliness. And I was like, well, that's when I need to rely on these groups. I remember going on, you know, I'll go on the Telegram group and start telling people how I feel and what's going on and what's happening here where I am and how I'm trying to deal with it and how I'm like how I'm trying to prepare for it. And then I've also went to a meeting here with a few people that are very like-minded in my views of how I feel about everything. And it felt really good. Like you need to find your people, regardless of how you feel about what's going on. Find your people.
Yeah.
People that resonate with you and your values and your belief systems and being able to help each other. This isn't from like in a sense, like I'm not going to listen to what other people are thinking. I'm going to see all of it, but I know I'm going to be true to myself and what I believe and how I want to live. And I need people to support me through that. And I'm going to support them. And it's finding your community. You know, I think that's really important right now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then the next question I was going to ask you is, have you ever had a moment in your life where you were, I call it the scene, when you're in the scene, but I'm going to explain it. Like when you're in either a room or a class or somewhere and you somehow see either individuals catch your attention or a scenario catches your attention and you feel like you've zoomed out of your body and you're looking at it. Yeah, you've got that. You've gotten that.
I used to get it every day.
What is it? Explain to you when it's triggered for you, and what it is that what if any ahas come, or what happens with you in that process.
No, I think this is more like when I was younger. It felt a lot like that. I'll think about if there's any instances now, but for me it was before when we had moved away from back to Uruguay, right? Back home. And at moments I felt like I was out of my body. I was like, it's like things felt fake. Like things weren't real. Like the Matrix, right? Like, what the heck is going on?
Do you think it was emotionally, you were externally...
I don't know.
It's like you were taking yourself out because you couldn't handle the emotion?
I don't know, because I'm such a grounded person. Like, I was grounded to everything physical, because that's just my nature. So I don't know. Maybe it was the emotions. I don't think it was anything spiritual, really. I don't know. But now I don't really feel that now. I think it might have been emotional. Yeah, now that you say that. Like, how is it for you though?
Well, totally different. I'll explain it. But I just wanted to point out how different two individuals, because they said like your life, what's it called? Your the life you live defines who you are. I don't believe in that. Like, the psychologists try to figure out what happened to you when you were young, and that's going to supposedly define why you act the way you act. We both went through.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. Look at that scenario we went through. I don't think I believe that. I believe souls really incarnate
we emotionally
bodies.
went through it differently, though.
Yeah, but I remember that scenario. I was 15 or 14, and you were 16 or 17, right?
Yeah.
And I remember already the difference is none of my friends went to the airport.
Yeah.
I didn't allow any of my friends to go to the airport because I knew that it was going to be too difficult. What I did do was I called them. I remember calling Tiffany on the phone, who was my best friend at the time. And I remember the last time I'd seen her, I remember I hugged her and I'd given her a couch that we had at the house that she wanted and she put in her room. And then I remember I said, okay, I'll call you later, which was the next day, which was the day we were leaving the country. And I called her over the phone. I said, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I said, all right. I'll call you later. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Because I couldn't handle it. I cannot handle goodbyes. And I already knew I couldn't handle it. I was like, why am I going to put myself through that? And she's kind of like me. So she was fine with kind of doing it that way.
But then remember the airport. You were the one going, you were crying more than I was.
Yeah. I got on the airplane before anybody in the family.
You were really upset.
Oh, no, I'm not saying I wasn't upset. I was.
No, but I'm saying you were able to let it out. I couldn't.
You couldn't let it out.
I was gonna lose it. No, that's why 2 weeks later I started having my panic attacks. I was holding all of my emotion inside. I was like, I need to stay strong. I can't. This is if I lose it now, it's gonna be horrible. And I think deep down inside for me, it was like, if I break down now, it's gonna make it harder for mom and dad. This is really hard for everybody. I can't make it worse.
All the time, Lorena.
It's subconscious.
It was mom and dad's decision
it.
for us to leave. Why were you putting your feelings aside? I was born
that way. That's stuff that I've worked through, right? Like, we all do our own healing. We all work through our own stuff. We just process things differently, and that's within our personality. Like we say, we incarnate with a specific personality because we need to struggle with certain things, right?
That's like really...
No, I know that. And today I try not to do that. Like, I'm very conscious that brought so many emotional hurdles for me that I don't do that anymore. I try to speak up and I try to say when I need to. And it gets to a point sometimes I can't even hold it in anyway. So yeah. Especially if I'm frustrated or upset.
Yeah.
But I do have an issue with that. I that's a lot of the Libra I have in my chart too. It's I'm trying to make sure everybody's okay. I don't want to create conflict. I want everything to be just peaceful and harmonious. It's part of what I struggle with here. So I know you're saying that we were brought up the same way. Of course we were. Our mom and dad treated us the same way, but we had completely different personalities. Anybody that listens to the podcast knows that, right? They know.
What you live does that define you? It's the way you confront what happens to you that defines you, that what kind of person you are.
And that is also very much connected to your personality, all of the stuff that you come into, some stuff from past life, how you process emotions, like all of that is like so intertwined.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
what's
we're
in your
all
contract?
so unique.
What are you here to learn from? Yeah.
Like my struggle, and I've talked about it openly, right? My struggle with loving myself was not the struggle you had. It was very different. I mean, we all might struggle with a little bit, but the way I had to go through it was not what you struggled with. Even though we were brought up the same, we grew up in the same house, we did, even just the way we spoke to mom and dad was very different. And the relationships we even have with mom and dad now are different. Just our personality.
Yeah, they like you more.
I wouldn't
They've
say
always
that.
liked you more.
They love you. They love me. They're just
They
different.
get pissed off by me very easily. Or I piss them off very easily.
I think it's personality wise, like you guys just clash. You're all fire signs. I'm here, Earth. Hey, what's up? I'm in the middle. Let's all take care of each other. Peace and love. Love you. Out. Bye.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, but that I mean, I think that you, for me, the representation of the way you handled that was, I remember Mom had to grab you and make you like start leaving. It was like, Lorena, come on.
I blocked that out.
I was like, can we go? Can we go? Can we go? I just wanted to rip the goddamn Band-Aid. I was ready to, I was out. I was very Sagittarius, like, whoosh, let's go. Let's get this done. I have to do it at some point. I might as well do it right now. And then I'll just cry the whole 10 hours all the way to Uruguay from New York, right?
That was horrible, yeah.
Oh my God. And I remember I turned on the light in the airplane and I just wrote to all my friends the letters. Guys, this is before Facebook. This is before like proper cell phone, WhatsApp and stuff. Like you had to write letters. You had to write letters.
And we'd wait like a month to get the letters.
Yeah. It would take 2 weeks to get to New York probably. And then another 2 weeks for their letter to get to us. So we wouldn't. Yeah. It was, yeah.
Crazy.
You had to get stamps and stuff and all that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But anyways, okay, so we came off of the question there a little bit. My scenario with what I'm talking about, like zooming out, it's a little bit different. I've had these very specific moments in life where I'll find myself observing a scenario or somebody, and it's almost, you know that feeling when you like your vision gets stuck on something, like you're staring and you can't unstuck yourself. You're like, you don't know what's wrong with you, but you just can't unstare, right?
You're like stuck, yeah.
That I remember the first time. Well, consciously, I can remember now, the first time that happened to me, I think I was in middle school, and I was in the bathroom, and there was a girl who I had no idea who she was, and she was smoking. She was hiding and smoking. Like, you can't, first of all, she was like 13, 14, whatever, and you're not allowed to smoke in school, let alone that age, right? So she was obviously hiding. And I came out of the bathroom, and she was there, and she just said hi to me, and I said hi. Like, I didn't care she was smoking, but something happened to me, and I got stuck midway to go wash my hands, and I was staring at her, and I was looking, I remember she had a really dark green sweater, black hair. She had, like, the really kind of darkish makeup where you could tell she was going through something, right? Like, when you put that makeup on, you're like, ooh.
Like goth.
Yeah, and she was smoking, and I felt like I was zooming out. Like, it's like I wasn't Lucia, I was just looking at the whole scenario. And then I looked at her and thought, wow, humanity is really lost. This is what reality has come to. And it was like this really profound, like, I'm putting it in words, but it was like this really profound feeling of like, I felt bad for her in a way. Like, wow, she's so lost right now. It was like
maybe perceived it or something.
I zoomed out, Lorena. I wasn't even Lucia for like a moment. I completely zoomed out. It was the weirdest. I consciously can't remember ever having had that scenario happen to me. That was the first time in this life that I remember that happening to me. And after that, it's happened very few times and less drastic. It's quicker. This scenario seems to have lasted much longer, where I observed her for much longer. I don't know how she didn't. She turned around and go, "What are you looking at?" Like
weirdo.
Yeah. But it happened to me before when I saw, it was a scenario of a mom and a child, and the mother was in a hurry, and the child, you could see, was really, really upset. And I understand the mom was probably in a hurry to get somewhere, something was going on, or, I don't know, she had to catch a bus, or I don't know. And I remember watching the child, who definitely didn't want to run anymore, and you could tell he was tired, and you could tell something was going on with the child. And I had like a little mini zoom out session where I stopped walking. I was like on a street or something. And I stopped walking and I went, wow, if only that mom, I remember thinking, if only that mom could just slow down and see that her child really needs her right now. And I just felt that for a second. And I felt the same thing I had felt for that girl. I felt for that child for a second. And I also felt a little bit for the mom. Like, she probably doesn't want to make her son cry and be in a hurry, but she obviously was really nervous or really in a hurry about something. And I just remember zooming out. I'm like, this is how humans live. I remember thinking that, like, we're in such a hurry that we can't be there for each other. That's kind of like the thing that I felt.
Or for ourselves.
Yeah, of course.
Because if we're there for ourselves, then we can be there for others.
Yeah.
It's not backwards.
Yeah. I think this is a good segue into what we want to eventually bring the podcast into a little bit more, which is, how do you not live that way? Or how do you get out of that? How do you get out of that scenario, right? In this case, that girl was obviously, I could tell at least, just because you're smoking in a bathroom doesn't mean you're going through something difficult, but I was obviously feeling it. She was obviously going through it because I perceived it somehow. So what do you do? Well, you have to, obviously in that case, you have to accept or realize that something's going on. And the only thing you can do is take charge of it. Say no more. First, you have to decide that you're not going to live like that anymore, and you want to have a better life, or whatever it is that it's happening. I'm not going to permit this anymore. Self-empower yourself, right? Whether it's emotionally, psychically, physically, whatever she needed for what she was going through. And then the scenario of the mom is, that reminder for me of the mom was like a rat race. It's like, she probably is in a hurry because she probably had to get to some sort of job or pick up something, or the enslavement system that I like to call our reality now, where we're, maybe the rat race isn't so much now that we're slowing down because of COVID, or we have been, but that's another scenario.
To me, it's like beating the system.
Yeah.
Like, how do we beat the system?
Yeah.
How do we move away from it, and how do we empower ourselves through that? So I had this kind of epiphany. Was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday after a reading, actually, which I thought was interesting. Like we always say, level 2, when you learn to read other people's records, isn't just about healing others. You're helping yourself too. You're receiving messages. You're understanding things. And a message I got was to start helping empower you guys, our listeners, in other ways. We do it through these episodes, but we want to bring more information. We haven't had guests on a lot. I mean, we've had Roberto on, we've had Christos and Foster on quite a bit, but we want to do like a little mini series, maybe. I think that's how I would say it, maybe. With a few episodes of bringing on different people to help us with some of these different topics where we can empower ourselves, like different aspects of our lives. One would be financial. Maybe we can get somebody on to talk about, how do you financially empower yourself? How do you take your own finances into your own hands and start to create more wealth through purposeful actions? And then the other side of that is we're really into crypto these days with Lucia. So maybe we can get somebody on here to talk about it and why this could be a really good option for people. Like why this could be something that it could help you in the future. Another thing that we talk a lot about within our Patreon, and we've mentioned it on here quite a bit, was the communities, right? Like the communities of being able to create your own community, maybe even physically live in a community. That even came up in our episode with Foster, right? When he's talking about, this farm where you can all live and then everybody shares, like vegetables and tasks and stuff, right? It doesn't have to be to that extent, but how do you create your own community? And maybe having a few people on here, or even maybe even some of our Patreon community, where we can have an interesting discussion where we can all openly talk about it and what that means to each of us and how we can create our own reality within that. And I think within that, what I was mentioning to you, Lou, was what if we have somebody on here to help us with growing? How do we grow our own vegetables, our own plants? How does that work? Where can we find resources on that? Why that's so important, regardless of what's happening in the world. And because we know what we're putting in our body. Maybe somebody to talk about nutrition. Like, what is the optimal way to eat? Regardless of if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or you're a carnivore. Like, you're doing keto or paleo, like what does our body need? And within those, are there ideals? Like, is there some way specifically we need to be like looking at specific parts of our diet? Health, like I would love to get somebody here when we've had our chats about Ayurveda, right? Ayurvedic practices, but can we not go more into maybe somebody talking about acupuncture or just holistic, maybe a naturopath? That can talk about your body and what are the things that we need to be thinking about. Like for me, there's like a few pillars, right? Sleep, nutrition, stress, breath work, your breath, right? Like, especially now with everything that's happened, if COVID's taught us anything, it's breathing, de-stressing, being able to be in control of your body. Like there's so many elements to this. We're going to have to really like organize all this information and everything that we want to present and find the right people.
We've already been talking a lot about empowerment. You're just saying to bring other people in to talk about it. I mean, we talked about empowerment. We had an episode where we were saying like about crypto, right? But we can definitely get someone else on here to give their perspective. And then we have talked about before also like knowing the spiritual universal laws. That's another empowerment, right? And the other things is also as well take back your health. Like that's it. We shouldn't depend on big pharma anymore. That's another way of giving your power away. Your body was, your soul's not stupid. Your soul said you're gonna go to a land, right? You're gonna go to Earth, and we know that there's germs and we know that there's sicknesses. But I'm gonna give you a body that either, if you're not supposed to go through sickness because you're supposed to have this experience, I'm gonna give you a body that can deal with it. Like, we're given the tools that we're not
need. Treating our bodies right. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
We're not living in an optimal way where we can have our immune system help and protect us.
And there's so many things that actually function that are so not shared out there openly. Yeah. I mean,
I just want to get different perspectives. I want people that are kind of mastered, like we're good with the Akashic records, but we can download all the information we want, but if we can get someone on here to talk about vitamins, supplements, nutrition, or somebody to talk about finances or your financial health, right? Well, how great would that be? And then you can take notes. You can be like, all right, cool. Maybe I need somebody to help me with this aspect of my life because I don't know how to do that myself.
Yeah.
Like I would get a reading or somebody else would get a reading to get guidance. You could do that with a lot of different aspects of your life. Why not?
Yeah.
But it's bringing awareness to every little aspect of that. And like we said, we have talked about empowerment, but we want to bring it in a more tangible way. Like somebody that knows that they're an expert or that we consider have a very holistic approach to it that can bring awareness, information, and that will serve each and every one of you listening to the podcast. I think if that's not accomplishing our mission with this podcast, I don't know what is. Like, it feels very aligned. When I got that message, like, why aren't we doing this already?
We were doing it, but we were doing it our own way. We just weren't bringing...
Yeah, but I think we need to go further, deeper. Like you said, this is bringing the people in our community even more information, even more, like, it's more refined, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
a great idea. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
So look out for that, guys. We're gonna be working on that within the next probably. I don't know if it'll start next year or if it'll start this year. We're gonna figure that out.
With the fit it in with our agendas.
Yeah, we want to put that out there. And like we said, there's tons of resources from previous episodes if you guys want to check those out and you haven't already. About empowerment. I'll see if I can link some of those in the show notes. But yeah, and also just a quick reminder, we're doing our Akashic Records Level 2 in November. I haven't posted it yet on social media, so I should have that up this week. So if you're not following us on Instagram or Facebook, make sure you are. We'll have those links on the show notes. And also the link to sign up for Level 2. So if you haven't already done that, you should. We'll make sure to email you first. And yeah, I think that's it. It's kind of a short episode, but we wanted to announce this, but also kind of, talk about it in a way that kind of segued into it really nicely.
It's and also really, talk about, 2022, obviously in November, we always do the channeling, which is soon, right? I can't believe it already, which we channel for like the upcoming year. But I'm already feeling a lot of energy of 2022 is like, stop accepting things and decide that either you're a part of something or you're no longer part of it. And if you're no longer part of it and you can't come out of it from where you are, then find a place where you can come out of it. Maybe that means finding a community. Maybe that means changing the way you do things. Maybe that means moving. Maybe that whatever it is, depends on the person and what they're looking for,
that.
right? Like 2022 is about action. We'll see what they say when we get to November, but it feels like there's no more dilly-daddling around, right?
No dilly-dallying. Yeah, like it's action time.
Yeah, it's move time. It's go time. It's like, that's it.
And it's going to be a difficult year for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But if we're aligned, things could go less crazy for us. That's how I feel, at least. If we've made the right decisions, aligned with things correctly, I think it could be
if you've taken the red pill like I was talking about today, I think that you are not going to be too shocked and surprised about what you see, and maneuvering around those things is not going to be the most difficult of things. It's not going to be easy, but I think that if you haven't fully seen the whole panorama and realities, there might be some really hard moments of shock or not wanting to accept things, or, it depends on where you are, because everyone's in a different place on their path, right? So, I mean, yeah, everyone will have to see, because, I mean, we can channel information for a general community or podcast, but everyone's on a different moment in their path, so it could be a little bit different depending on where on that path you are, right?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Like, even us, we grew up the same house, everything. And we were very different. We had different paths within that energy that we grew up in, because we are so unique and we're all here to do very different things. But within that, there is a general message, and we need to just interpret and receive that the way that is right for us.
Oh, that reminds me of one question I didn't get to ask you that I think we should end the episode with.
Okay.
Is there something that is a part of your person, the way you are, that you hated when you were young, or that made things difficult for you when you were young, that now when you're older and more aligned, you realize that it comes to your convenience big time?
The feeling, the emotions. Yeah. I think I've come to terms with it. Like, I'll just cry in front of anybody, but it's also helped me also as a channel, because I can feel, I can have compassion. And my channel is all about feeling. If I don't recognize and accept that part of myself, until I actually completely accepted that, I wasn't able to be a channel. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I was like, oh, I'm too sensitive. And everybody would be like, oh no, she's crying again. It's like, well, that's just who I am. That's part of me. And it's how I release. It's how I can cope with things. It doesn't stop me from living my life. It's just, I can get emotional.
Yeah.
And I'm a feeler, and that's helped me as a channel tremendously.
Yeah.
What about you?
Being a rebel. It got me in so much trouble. So much, to the point where I couldn't help it when I was young. I was like, why the hell do I keep fighting everything all the time? And I remember at points hating myself for it, because I realized I was making my life complicated. I'm like, I should just accept everything, and just life will be so easy, and nobody will get mad at me ever, because everyone was getting mad at me, from like teachers to parents to everybody was getting
bosses.
Bosses, like everyone was always getting mad at me. I was like, why do I make life so difficult for myself? And now I'm like, I get it. This is like my strength. This is what's actually helped me deal with a lot of stuff in my life. I'm like, woo, thank God I'm a rebel, man. I was supposed to be a rebel this whole time, and I was rejecting it because I felt like it was making life impossible for me.
I agree with that.
But I think it's a good sign when you know it, and you're like, a good sign in the sense, like, sometimes it's a habit that you need a kick, and yes, you're not supposed to have it, but when you realize that it's part of you and you want to get rid of it, but you're like, I think this is who I am, I just don't know why. I think that's when you're supposed to observe it and be like, is it not supposed to be part of me, or am I just not at the point where I've learned why I have it?
Or wanting to see that part of yourself, because it might feel like it's not aligned with you, but the moment you accept it, you can live in harmony with it. That's how I felt with my stuff. And you can release it. You don't have to repeat it. Yeah. All right. We're going to close off the episode now. So we'll see you guys next week with a new episode. Make sure you check all the links below if you're interested in level 2 Akashic Records. It's a Zoom course. Make sure you click on the link on the show notes to sign up, and we'll be posting that this week. And we love you guys, and we'll see you next week with a new episode. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.